okay, a call came through and ended our recording. But they realized, like, okay, she's now, this is the only time she's going to be gone. This is the only time we can actually set up the house, do what needs to be done. I feel like there might have been other players here. Maybe she was there, maybe other players. I only feel that because it feels like a setup. It feels like an accosting, like when someone's accosted. It feels like someone walks in the house and they're like, oh, you know, something like a surprise. And maybe it doesn't happen that way, exactly that way, but it does feel like there was a setup. People were waiting, people were ready, there was a plan in place, and then it started unfolding from that place. And so it set up a plan. Could have been multiple people. I feel like there was. I don't know for sure, allegedly for entertainment purposes only. And now what we get is ultimately, of course, their plan was a success. Now, obviously, that's not a success, an actual success. We know this is clearly not a success. This is the loss of a family. However, what they wanted, that solution that they sought, was a success. They both got what they wanted. Let me see what else was here. Yep, the time was right. They knew that they had to act right when the fruit was ripe, and so they did. Yep, I feel like this was like the surprise, you're home, and this ultimately led to the passing, you know, where each of the family members passed on and were reunited, we'll say, with their loved ones in the afterlife, and the great beyond, in heaven. So that's what happened here. It feels like that's what happened. So we covered Chris, we've covered Nichol, their inner psychology, their motives, their drives, where they were coming from. Now we're going to talk about the axis of truth. I don't know exactly what's going to come up through that. It just came through naturally when I was pulling cards. And then we're going to talk about like the truth of the progression of events. We already got a lot of that, so we'll see what the bottom row has to offer us. So let's cover the axis of truth first. Okay, so like it's almost like, look, we have these two cards and nothing's going to come of this situation but radical curiosity. It's almost like, you know, maybe even they were being guided, I don't know, but like the ultimate truth is being represented here. Nothing's going to come out of this. Nothing good is going to come out of this. You're thinking it's going to give you everything that you want, but in fact, this is not the manifestation you were seeking. This is everything that the exact opposite of what you were seeking. Like, you get rid of the family, which is what your intention was, but then she doesn't get her golden ticket and he doesn't get his freedom or his confidence or his approval in this new lover. Everything goes to shit basically, but they still pursued it, right? They didn't let it go. They went for it anyway, and now we know where that's at. Let's see where. Okay, so we're also getting here, you know, he, again, not really seeing the full truth, right? Being willing to sort of play with fire, and not really look at the consequences of playing with fire. Like when I see her there, you know, I see her kind of messing with the cups, but her eyes are closed, and it even says wisdom and play at the bottom, which means like he's just having a good time, kind of going along with the flow of the moment, following all this energetic momentum, and not realizing that, again, when you play with fire, you get burned. The other card here, the end of a tough cycle approaches. They're both thinking that this is their ticket. This is their meal ticket. This is their ticket out of their suffering, out of their struggles, all of their challenges, out of their difficulty. But in truth, their overall challenges were very personal to them and never had anything to do. Well, you know, his might have been indirectly related to his wife and his family, but ultimately they were just responsibility, a burden he no longer wanted to have to bear. So he's wanting, of course, to get out of that, and then she's thinking that he's going to be her next daddy, knight in shining armor, someone who's going to save her and take care of her, and that she doesn't have to take care of herself, basically. Let's see what else we have here. I'm just going to sit with these energies for a moment. Yeah, it's almost like, interestingly enough, and it's interesting that this axis of truth or whatever, that these energies are coming up, because it's not at all what I would expect, but it's like this could have been done differently. Because the card is your dreams need a practical plan, and I feel like had they thought this through, of course there were other options, other routes that were much more practical, much more feasible, much more serving, that ultimately would have led to a higher outcome for all parties involved. But of course that's not the route that was taken. And that's not to imply, of course, that we don't have life purpose, soul mission, soul contracts, where some of these things might have been set in stone or sort of placed in the Akashic, you know, eons ago, that this was all meant to play out. And yet, you know, Spirit's just saying, they're, you know, you play with fire, you're going to get burned. That they both were kind of hoping for, like, this was the silver lining, this was going to be the thing that saved them, but ultimately it wasn't. And that, you know, this could have been done differently, and more honoring of all parties. There might be more there probably is, but I'd rather dive into the chronology or the events or whatever it was, the truth about what happened, and then the final outcome. We already know the final outcome, though. We already touched on that a little bit, and I think the facts of the case tell us what that is. So, yep. What was happening is they both set this intention in motion. They both decided that this is what's going to happen. Again, the ball got rolling, and they just let it keep on rolling downhill. Nobody tried to stop it. I feel like he questioned it some. I wonder if she did. I don't feel like she ever did. I feel like she was so far removed and distant enough from the situation that she was able to sort of act without emotion or care. Very self-absorbed and self-focused. So it was more about, like, again, kind of the energy of, you know, he had the energy of, well, they're better off, but she had that energy of, like, it doesn't really matter. And I don't even think it was a thought. Like, it was just a non-issue. Like, it was going to take care of her needs. And so, you know, the ends justify the means, more or less, for her. And so they got the ball rolling, and then things started moving. Let's see if anything else wants to come from these cards. I just feel like they're planning, they're prepping, they're making the moves, they're doing what they need to do. I feel like, you know, conversations are being had, they're setting up the house, they're prepping the house. I feel like they're rushing around. They're really rushing to, like, get things done in a certain amount of time, in a certain window, in a certain timeline. Like, I feel a lot of rushing energy and, like, demanding energy, like her being like, rah, 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 and him being, like, scrambling and anxious, like, how is it going to work and will it work? So I get a lot of that energy. Yeah. So again, they are really believing luck is on their side. They're really believing this is going to work out. It's going to work out in their favor. This is for the best. This is for the best for all people. I feel like, again, they're prepping the home. They're taking care of it because we have the card on home here. And that's what I was feeling is, you know, they're entering the home. They're prepping the home. They're staging the scene. That's the kind of energy that I'm getting. Again, look at this. A new start is coming. They're thinking this is going to be, and this is, so a lot of this is just affirming what we already know. So maybe pull too many cards if we're just getting redundant information, but we'll go ahead and finish what we have here. They're assuming that this is going to be the change, the much needed change that they sought. This is their new beginning. This is their next chapter. If only they can just get through it. Let's see what else here. I feel like, again, last minute upheaval, last minute hiccups in the plan. We got the energy earlier where it's sort of suspended in air for a moment because we have this card circles. It's usually my harvest or abundance card, but in this case it says clarity begins in the eye of the storm, and then we have adjustments are required. For whatever reason, what that's bringing forth for me is some last minute adjustments of, like, uh-oh, that didn't work out, we got to fix this. And because of those last minute details, because things didn't fully iron out with their plan, it wasn't fine-tuned well enough to be adjusted for, like, a lack of predictability or things not happening right on time. That's when things started to fall apart. That I even feel like, you know, Chris allegedly began to feel anxious and nervous and scrambling around, and, you know, maybe starts leaving things here and not getting things done, and he's really struggling to, like, keep up with this plan, this mastermind. At this point, though, I'm also feeling like I don't feel like another party there. I feel like, you know, there's being communication maybe had over the phone, where, again, demands are being made and this needs to happen. He's trying to scramble to make it all happen, and he's like, listen, I'm the one implementing all this, and I have, like, zero help. But I feel like maybe she set the stage, maybe didn't do the actual, allegedly, the actual crime, but I feel like she was heavily involved, at least with the masterminding, if not in the house when it went down, observing, witnessing, or prepping the scene for what needed to happen. But again, yeah, those last minute adjustments, had those hiccups not occurred, I feel like their plan would have been more fine-tuned, but I feel like down the road, something still would have gone awry. Something still wouldn't have worked out the way that they thought, and it would have all sort of crumbled whichever direction they went. Like, even had they been successful with the murders, I don't feel like they would have gotten able to retrieve the house like they thought, or the life insurance as they expected, those kinds of things. Yeah. So what do we get here? Eternal gatekeeper. Be bold, make the first move. He made the move, and that led his family to that eternal gatekeeper. And, you know, I'm not diving into the actual crimes themselves because I don't see any need. I think we already know, and actually we know pretty much, like, the gruesome, grotesque details of it, it's readily available on the internet and on Netflix. So what's the point of rehashing those details? If you don't know, please go research it if that's something that you're interested in. I don't think you have to know the details to fully understand what I'm saying. However, there's no need to rehash things that have already been said. This was more to discover what we don't know, what was going on behind closed doors, what was going on beneath the skin, you know, the inner psychology of both of these people. And I feel like so far what we've discovered is someone who's very insecure, and someone who really didn't know how to fit in or feel like he belonged, and then finally felt like he had a way out or a way to feel good about himself, but it ultimately would have led to the same pattern, by the way, because he hadn't broken that pattern within himself yet. But then he projects, like, his new future and his big chapter and this next big thing onto this woman that he meets, and he brings her this level of youth and vitality and excitement and thrill. He internalizes this and thinks he's like Mr. hot shit, I'm invincible, I can do anything and get away with it all. She's already someone who thinks pretty grandiosely, and I think it's because of the way she was raised, where she was sort of, maybe very spoiled or instilled with this belief that, she gets everything that she wants. So when she meets this person, she's kind of using it to meet her own needs. It doesn't feel very deep, sincere, genuine. It doesn't mean that they don't have that kind of love for each other. It means that they might not be capable of a deeper kind of love that many of us are, meaning it kind of stayed surface level, at the level of, like, again, manipulation, deceit, jealousy, meeting my own needs, filling my void, making sure you meet the needs and demands of my inner child. Like, you're going to be my golden ticket out of this kind of thing. So, she's in that space, and then she's realizing, well, wait a second, he's with this chick all the time and taking up my time. So how can he be my golden ticket if they get all of his attention? And, like, he's saying he's got a money, or he shows up like, I think he's going to be this dude for me, and that can't happen if he's spending all of his money on these kids. And if he divorces them, then he's going to be paying all that child support, so then I'm still not going to get it. And so she thinks, and so does he, maybe even simultaneously, maybe even together, decide, okay, there's this plan here. We're going to get rid of the unpredictable variable, make this easy, and start our new chapter. We got that very clearly, again, reaffirmed at the bottom. Now let's get the final outcome card, which I think we already are aware of. Here's the final outcome, or what Spirit wanted us to know. Yeah, I feel like, because what this says is transition. It's time to take action, and transition to me feels like perhaps the transition from physical life to the afterlife, and then a time to take action. The deed was done, so the deed was completed. So I think it brings us, from those preparatory stages, from those planning stages, the inner psychology stages, and it brings us through that whole experience of what they went through, maybe some of the conversations that they've had allegedly for entertainment purposes only, all up to the point where the deed was done. So if this true crime reading resonated for you, I encourage you to like, subscribe. I have no idea if you'll enjoy if you're finding me on YouTube randomly, if you'll enjoy the other pick a card readings on my channel that are very much spirituality, self-development, soul purpose related, but you can check those details or those videos out on the channel. If you want to get to know more about me, my work is not true crime. I act as a mentor and coach. You can check out those details below as well, or at erritygreen.com. And if you want to see more of these videos, you want to ask more questions, if we want to get to know more about the psychology or other true crime psychology, do let me know, and I can do those. Maybe we'll do a Casey Anthony one, and I can put that up as well. So thank you for watching. Again, do like and subscribe. Press the bell icon. That way you receive notifications every single time a new video pops up, and I will see you next time. Thank you.